Before you spend that Lincoln penny from 1978, 2005, or 2014, take a closer look. Some carry subtle errors and rare variations collectors actively search for. One tiny detail can turn an ordinary penny into serious money. The 1978 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny is a coin most people have seen 1,000 times without giving it a thought. It's a common piece of pocket change, a familiar copper-colored token with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Most of these pennies were produced in massive quantities and spent decades circulating in everyday transactions. For the average person, a 1978 penny is worth its face value, maybe a few cents to collectors if it's pristine, but otherwise not much more. But tucked away among the ordinary coins are a handful of extremely rare error examples that have transformed the way collectors look at this humble cent. These rare errors aren't just interesting novelties, they have sold at auction for eye-popping sums, with some examples trading in the range of $68,525 to $149,570, turning what once was pocket change into a fascinating piece of numismatic history. Without any error, a regular 1978 Lincoln cent in circulated condition typically has only face value. Even if you find an uncirculated example with full mint luster, without any mistakes from the minting process, its value usually only climbs to a few dollars for collectors who want clean examples for their date and mint sets. These normal coins are abundant, easy to find in change or coin folders, and rarely generate much excitement. That's because the U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of these pennies, making them plentiful and widely accessible. Even certified mint-state examples without errors tend to trade at modest prices, with high-grade specimens commanding small premiums but nothing remarkable in the bigger picture. Everything changes when a coin has a true mint error. Errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process. Misaligned dies, doubled impressions, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and more. These mistakes create coins that look unusual and unique, and that rarity and intrigue drive serious collector demand. Among the most sought-after error varieties in the 1978 Lincoln cent is the double die obverse, a spectacular mistake that greatly increases a penny's value. A double die error happens early in the minting process when the hub impresses the design on a die twice, but slightly misaligned. When that die is used to strike a coin, the design elements, especially lettering and numbers, appear doubled. On a 1978 double die cent, the doubling often shows up on the date, the word Liberty, and sometimes around the motto, "In God We Trust." These doubled features shift the coin from an ordinary cent into a prized error coin that collectors immediately notice and pursue. Comparing values, the gulf between a normal 1978 penny and a double die example is enormous. A standard coin might be worth a few cents or a few dollars at most, even in near-perfect condition. But a 1978 double die penny in modest circulated condition has sold at auction for prices well above $1,000 in some cases, with stronger examples fetching substantially more. When the doubling is clear and the surfaces are in good shape, values often climb into the five-figure range. Serious collectors, especially those focused on error types, are willing to pay hefty premiums for coins that show dramatic doubling combined with attractive surfaces. In the uncirculated realm, 1978 double die Lincoln cents become even more desirable. Coins that show original mint red or red-brown luster and crisp doubling details bring higher bids at major auctions. Some of these high-grade examples have consistently sold for $10,000, $20,000, or even more as collectors compete to own one of the best-known examples. But the most remarkable auction results go far beyond that. In the most competitive auction settings, with certified coins graded at very high levels and history of scarcity backing demand, rare 1978 double die pennies have reached astonishing price points, with results ranging from $68,525 to as high as $149,570. These extraordinary numbers reflect not only the rarity of the coins, but also the intense passion of collectors who recognize that a dramatic error like this is exceedingly uncommon. When unique pieces come up for sale, particularly those with exceptional eye appeal and strong certification, bidding wars can push prices into territory most people would never expect for a 1-cent coin. Double dies are not the only category of errors that can add value to a 1978 penny. Other error varieties, while often less dramatic than doubling, still attract collector interest and respectable auction prices. One such error is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet is not properly aligned under the press, leading to a coin that appears cut off or misaligned. Minor off-center errors might sell in the $25 to $75 range if only slightly misaligned. But more pronounced off-center examples, where a significant portion of the design is missing yet the date is still visible, can bring $200 to $800 at auction depending on how noticeable and attractive the error appears. Clipped planchet errors are another fascinating group of mistakes. These occur when a portion of the coin blank is irregularly missing before striking, often creating a curved or straight clip on the edge of the finished coin. Clipped planchet 1978 pennies tend to sell in the $30 to $150 range, although particularly large and well-struck examples in attractive condition can bring more. Collectors enjoy these clipped coins because they are visually distinct and offer a clear story of how the minting process can go awry. There are also rotated die errors, where the obverse and reverse dies are misaligned during striking, leaving one side of the coin rotated at an unusual angle relative to the other. Depending on the degree of rotation, these errors can carry premiums. Minor rotations often add modest value, while extreme rotations can push prices into the $50 to $300 range or higher when the quality of the strike and surfaces are strong. Planchet errors, where the blank is improperly prepared or contains metal defects, can also boost a coin's value. Coins with unusual surface textures or anomalies from planchet flaws may sell for $50 to several $100s, depending on how dramatic and collectible the flaw is. These planchet errors can be subtle or striking, but in either case, they show that even slight deviations from standard production can create coins that are distinctly different. Across all these error types, one constant is that condition matters enormously. Two coins with the same error can have vastly different values if one shows heavy wear and damage while the other remains crisp and clean. That's why professional grading and certification are so important with high-end error coins. Buyers want assurance that a coin's condition has been independently verified before they commit significant sums. Auction results over the years make it clear that while normal 1978 Lincoln pennies remain common and inexpensive, rare error varieties, especially those with dramatic double dies in superior condition, can command impressive prices. In particularly competitive auctions, certified coins have delivered results in the range of $68,525 to $149,570. Astonishing numbers that attest to how much value a dramatic mint error can add to an otherwise ordinary coin. For anyone who has a handful of 1978 Lincoln pennies, taking a closer look can be rewarding. With a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, you might spot doubling, a misstrike, or some other anomaly that instantly boosts a coin's value. Most coins will be ordinary, but the chance that a rare error is hiding in plain sight keeps collectors sorting through old collections and rolls with excitement in the end. The 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny reminds us that even the most familiar coins can sometimes hold extraordinary surprises. What seems like pocket change may turn out to be a remarkable piece of numismatic history, and sometimes the difference between a few cents and five-figure auction results is just a tiny error in the minting process. The 2005 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny is a coin most people see every day without giving it a second thought. It was minted in huge numbers and spent years in circulation, used for vending machines, toll booths, quick purchases, and loose change in wallets. To most people, a 2005 penny is just a penny, a small piece of copper-plated zinc with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. For the vast majority of these coins, that's exactly all they are worth, face value, or maybe a couple of dollars if they're in pristine, uncirculated condition. A normal 2005 Lincoln cent without any errors is common, easy to find, and not worth much beyond its metal and sentimental value. But every so often, a small number of these coins were struck with significant minting errors, and those mistakes have transformed them from everyday change into highly coveted collector pieces. Among the rarest and most exciting varieties that have surfaced is the dramatic double die obverse. This error occurs when the die used to strike the coin was improperly prepared, causing certain design elements to appear doubled. On genuine double die examples, parts of the date, the word Liberty, and the other inscriptions show clear and strong doubling that should never appear on a normal coin. These error coins are rare, and their scarcity is what gives them extraordinary value today. A standard 2005 Lincoln penny without any errors looks balanced and uniform. The date is clear, the lettering is sharp, and Lincoln's portrait appears exactly as it should. These standard coins are common and inexpensive. Even in uncirculated condition, A typical 2005 penny most often trades for a few dollars at most. Because so many were made, and because so many still exist in everyday change, their value remains low. A collector might add one to a basic set for completeness, but few people see them as valuable in their own right. In contrast, a 2005 penny with a true double die obverse error tells a very different story. When you place an error coin next to a normal one, the difference becomes immediately obvious. Instead of crisp, singular lines, certain elements on the error coin appear thickened, spread, or shadowed. The date might look wider than normal, the word liberty might show overlapping impressions, and the overall design might seem slightly blurred in specific areas. These doubled images are not caused by wear or damage. They are the result of a mistake during the die creation process and are unmistakable to trained eyes. Even in circulated condition, genuine doubled die 2005 pennies can sell for hundreds of dollars. Collectors know these errors are rare, and even worn examples command significant premiums over face value. A circulated error coin with decent doubling might fetch $400 to $900 depending on how bold the doubling appears and how much wear the coin has suffered. When you move into uncirculated coins, values rise rapidly. Uncirculated double die Lincoln cents from 2005 with strong defining characteristics often sell for several $1,000s at auction. These coins are eye-catching, with bold detail on both the doubled areas and the rest of the design. Certified coins with professional grading can bring even higher prices because collectors trust the authentication and the assigned grade. Auction results have shown that certified uncirculated examples with striking doubling regularly achieve prices in the $5,000 to $15,000 range when bidders compete for quality pieces. But the most compelling price levels come from the rarest and finest known error coins. These are the pennies that combine strong doubling with exceptional surfaces, original mint red color, flawless surfaces, and superb eye appeal. These elite examples are extremely rare, and when they appear at major public auctions or private sales, bidding can become intense. In some remarkable cases, these rare top-tier error coins have reached prices ranging from $46,200 to as high as $124,150, especially when collectors recognize the coin's scarcity and outstanding condition. These are extraordinary numbers for a 1-cent piece, but they reflect the rare combination of error type, condition, and collector demand. Beyond double dies, there are other error varieties found on 2005 Lincoln pennies that also attract attention. For example, off-center strikes occur when the planchet was not properly aligned during the striking process, causing part of the design to be missing or distorted. The value of an off-center coin depends heavily on how far off-center the strike is. A slight off-center error might be worth $25 to $75, while major off-center strikes where a large portion of the design is missing can sell for several $100s or more, particularly if the date remains visible. Clipped planchets are another type of error found occasionally on these pennies. A clipped planchet happens when the blank was improperly punched from the metal strip, resulting in a missing section of the coin. These errors often draw collector interest because of their unusual appearance, and they typically sell for $30 to $120 depending on the clip size and how attractive the coin looks overall. There are even rarer instances where 2005 pennies were struck on incorrect planchets or planchets with flaws. These off-metal errors can produce coins that look unusual in weight, color, or surface texture. Authenticating these pieces often requires expert evaluation, but when verified, they can bring $500 to several $1,000s due to their rarity and uniqueness. What makes the double die errors so compelling is how dramatic they can be. When you compare a normal penny to an error coin side by side, the difference is unmistakable. The normal coin appears clean and balanced, while the error shows a doubling that should have no place on a correctly struck piece. This visual difference is exactly what attracts collectors. It's a tangible sign that something went wrong at the mint, something rare, unrepeatable, and collectible. Auction results make this difference even clearer. Regular 2005 pennies are often sold in bulk or included in mixed lots without much attention, and their prices reflect their common nature. Error coins, on the other hand, are sold individually with detailed descriptions and often accompanied by professional certification. This certification helps buyers feel confident they are purchasing an authentic error coin, and that confidence often leads to higher bids and stronger final prices. For everyday coin enthusiasts, The thought of finding one of these rare error pennies in pocket change is exciting. While the odds are extremely low, the possibility that a dramatic error could be hiding unnoticed keeps collectors searching through rolls and old collections. Even though most 2005 pennies will always be ordinary, a rare few slipped through with mistakes that turned them into numismatic treasures. At first glance, the 2005 Lincoln penny may seem like a trivial piece of change. But when you understand the rare error varieties and see results where prices climbed as high as $46,200 to $124,150, it becomes clear why collectors pay close attention to these coins. What begins as seemingly insignificant pocket change can, in the right circumstances with the right error and condition, become an extraordinary collectible with remarkable value. Most people think of modern pennies as everyday loose change, a coin you barely notice when you drop it into a jar or hand it over at the checkout. The 2014 Lincoln 1-cent penny is one of those coins, familiar, ordinary, and usually overlooked. Billions were minted and circulated, and for most of these coins, that's where their story ends. In standard condition, a normal 2014 penny with no errors and average wear is worth exactly what it says on the coin, 1 cent. Even in pristine, uncirculated condition, a typical 2014 cent is usually only worth a couple of dollars to a collector who wants a perfect example. But then there are the pennies that break the rules, the ones where something went wrong in the minting process. These are the coins that catch the eye of collectors and can suddenly transform a humble 1-cent piece into something valuable and highly sought after. Among the rarest and most fascinating of these for the 2014 Lincoln cent is a dramatic double die error, where part of the design appears duplicated due to misalignment when the die was made. This isn't the subtle doubling that many coins show under magnification, but bold, noticeable doubling that can be seen without a microscope. On these rare pennies, the doubling often appears around the date and lettering, and in the most dramatic examples, it jumps off the coin. The difference in value between a normal 2014 penny and one with this dramatic double die error is enormous. A standard error-free penny might be saved by a collector who wants a perfect date, but even a flawless normal 2014 cent rarely sells for more than a couple of dollars. On the other hand, a genuine 2014 penny with a strong double die error can immediately become an item of real collector interest. Even in circulated condition, these error coins have been known to sell for several $100s simply because they are so rare and visually striking. When you take condition into account, prices can rise steeply. Uncirculated and certified error pennies with deep, bold doubling attract significant competition at auctions and coin shows. When these rare error coins are professionally graded and authenticated by major services, they often command much higher prices because buyers know exactly what they are getting. Certified examples of the most dramatic double die error pennies from 2014, especially those with high grades and strong eye appeal, have fetched impressive prices at auction. In fact, premium graded examples have reached auction results ranging from $42,500 to as high as $115,440 when demand, rarity, and condition align perfectly. For many collectors, owning one of these coins is a highlight, a piece that completely stands out from the millions of ordinary pennies struck in the same year. Of course, double dies are not the only error variety that can add value to a 2014 Lincoln cent. Another common error type is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet isn't properly centered under the press at the moment of striking, resulting in part of the design missing or shifted to one side. The value of an off-center coin depends greatly on how extreme the misalignment is and whether important details like the date and mint mark remain visible. Slight off-center strikes might only bring $20 to $50, while more severe examples, where a large portion of the design is missing, can be worth $100 or more in circulated condition. When these coins are uncirculated and show dramatic off-center strikes, their value can climb even higher. Another fascinating error type is the clipped planchet, where a segment of the coin's metal is missing due to an imperfect cutting of the blank planchet. These clipped planchets create coins that look as though they have a bite taken out of them along the edge. Clipped planchet pennies from 2014 can vary in value depending on the size and location of the clip, but many examples sell in the range of $30 to $150 or more for larger, well-defined clips. These coins may not always reach the value of dramatic double dies, but they are still collectible and often catch the eye of error coin enthusiasts. There are also less dramatic varieties like die cracks and minor strikes that show signs of die deterioration. These appear as raised lines or irregular marks on the surface of the coin and indicate that the die used to strike the coin was starting to break. Most die crack error pennies don't command the same premiums as double dies or severe off-center strikes, but noticeable die cracks can still bring prices ranging from $10 to $50 or more, depending on the severity and how visually interesting the error appears. Sometimes coins are struck on the wrong planchet entirely. For example, a penny struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or even for foreign currency blanks. These occurrences are extremely rare, and when authenticated, they can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the circumstances and collector interest point. One of the reasons dramatic errors, such as the double die on the 2014 penny, can reach such high values is that they are unexpected and rare. Modern coins are produced with very tight controls and high-tech machinery. So when a dramatic error slips through the quality checks, it immediately becomes something special. Collectors know that finding one of these is much harder than finding a normal coin, and that rarity drives demand and prices. Auction results show just how passionate the collector community can be when these rare error coins appear for sale. When a high-grade, certified 2014 double die error penny is offered at auction, the bidding can become very competitive. It is not uncommon for premium examples with dramatic doubling and pristine surfaces to sell for 5 figures when serious collectors are determined to add one to their collections. That's how we see final sale prices ranging from $42,500 to $115,440 for a coin that started life as a simple penny. Comparing these values to those of normal 2014 pennies really highlights the dramatic difference rarity makes. A standard, error-free penny might only be worth a few cents or a few dollars in perfect condition. Meanwhile, an error penny with dramatic doubling and a high grade can leap into the tens of thousands of dollars. A contrast that surprises many people new to coin collecting. Condition is always a driving factor behind value. 2 error coins with the same type of mistake can have vastly different prices depending on wear, surface quality, and eye appeal. That's why professional grading and certification are so important. When a coin is authenticated and graded by a respected service, buyers have confidence that they are bidding on a rare, well-preserved piece. And that confidence often pushes prices higher at auction. So next time you handle a 2014 Lincoln Cent, take a moment to examine it closely. Most will be ordinary and unremarkable, but every now and then, you might spot a penny where something looks off, the lettering doubled, the date bold and doubled, or the design shifted. If you do, you might be holding a rare error coin that could be worth far more than you ever imagined, even in the remarkable range of $42,500 to $115,440 when it appears at auction. Coins like these are what make the hobby of coin collecting endlessly exciting and full of surprises.